Funnily enough, they still released the Flintstones WWE movie because Punk had actually recorded his lines whilst he was still actually wrestling for the company, because they were kind of in a position of, this is post-Punk Gate. Do we still release this movie? And Warner Brothers are like, well, you kind of got to, because you did sign a contract. And it's like, ugh.
What was the last one that was released? Like the Jetsons?
Yes. That's where Big Show's...
Dear WWE, stop abusing Hanna-Barbera Productions.
That was the one where, like, Big Show wakes up...
Or rather, what if it's Hanna-Barbera that's using WWE? As a last-ditch effort to get the young kids involved with their older properties.
Oh, God.
Because let's face it, what kid nowadays watches the Flintstones or the Jetsons? I mean, we were able to watch it back in the day because, luckily for some of us, we had channels like Cartoon Network airing all of these classic Hanna-Barbera properties. But nowadays, Hanna-Barbera is kind of dead, I think.
Yeah.
Well, they do air some of their stuff on Boomerang, which is kind of like a sister network to the Cartoon Network. So I guess.
Right. I get the feeling that that's generally catered more towards like older audiences, especially when they're putting a lot of the 90s era Cartoon Network shows on Boomerang now. And even then, I think Boomerang is starting to get phased out in favor of this weird Cartoon Network streaming app that they're trying to slowly promote.
Yeah, I heard about that.
I have a question with regards to Cartoon Network. I don't know if they did this over in the States, but particularly when I was first introduced to it around mid to late 90s, this is when they weren't doing Toonami. They were just doing like the whole old school cartoons, like I say, Flintstones and Jetsons.
Yeah.
They do this shtick where you get the intro to the Flintstones, then it cuts to a commercial break, then it cuts back to the episode. Did they ever do that with you guys over there?
Let's see. It's been a while, so I can't remember.
It used to just be a bumper at first, and then it would go straight back to the cartoons from there.
Right.
And
this was during the... Sorry, go ahead.
some of the newer stuff, like when they introduced their original products. And they did the same thing with Boomerang for a while, definitely on Boomerang, but years later when the 2000s hit, Cartoon Network did start having commercials during their program lining, especially a little after Toonami hit. But in this case, around that time, it was just mostly 1 or 2 commercials instead of like a bombardment of 5, which is one of many reasons why I tend to prefer streaming things like Netflix and Hulu these days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do recall, maybe I might recall them actually, cutting to commercials and after the intros. That would be something they would do a lot.
Because to me, if they did that, say, 10 minutes in of a 20-minute episode, okay, fair enough, but not right as you get going. It's almost like, and this is a really bad analogy, you're being given your gift for a birthday present, you're just about to take the lid off the box, all of a sudden somebody covers it over, is like, wait, what? What'd you do that for?
Or like you're about to open the package and it's like, no, wait, first we gotta go through some instructions. Okay, now you can open the box.
Like, this is how that toy works. It's like, let me open it first. I don't know what it is.
We gotta use safety precautions though, or we'll get sued.
At least, like with networks like PBS,
the moms will faint on the couch and clutch their pearls.
At least with like certain programs like PBS, they would actually. I'm not sure if there's a delay or something. It's all right. But as I was saying, I'm not sure. At least with a network like PBS, they would actually have announced all of their sponsors before starting the program.
Yeah.
Like, today's program has been brought to you by the so-and-so, and by viewers like you. Thank you.
Yeah.
I know WWE would do that, but WWE Raw would do that before a couple of matches, particularly in 05, where They said, this week's Raw is being presented by Batman Begins. See where it begins, or something to the effect that Jerry the King Lawler was actually saying.
Oh, you know what? I just found out right now that there was a second WWE Scooby-Doo movie.
Yes, there was.
Wow.
It was like
Curse of the Speed Demon.
Yes.
one.
So they were so desperate for ideas, they immediately went for a wacky races approach.
Oh gosh, that's what I was thinking of all those months back. Oh.
Now where's Dick Dastardly and Muttley in all of this?
Well, don't you know those?
They knocked the fuck out of there.
Well, don't you know those were Vince McMahon's chief writers?
Right, I can already imagine like Muttley there. He's thinking of like how people are going to suffer with his movies. He's going to do his his laugh.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
That is a good one.
Shut up, Muttley.
Apparently,
and as the wrestlers turn on Dick Dastardly, he finally goes, "Muttley, do something."
Funny enough, you bring that up. I think there's one movie studio, I can't remember offhand, they actually want to do a dark, gritty reboot of Wacky Race. I'm like, why?
It's supposed to be a fun cartoon with silliness, not Death Race 2000.
This reminded me, there was like a reboot of Wacky Races that I think there was like a pilot episode, but it was canceled or like rejected. Let's see, what was that? Reboots.
And in all those straight to DVD animated films, Vince the villain. Parachute Day.
I know they had a cancelled TV pilot of Wonder Woman, which would have actually seen Justin Bruning as Steve Trevor, which would have been good for him because that would have been his first TV project since Knight Rider SG, which is a shame because he is actually a good actor.
Yeah.
But instead, you know, the TV series was pushed aside in favor of the movie. And to be fair, the Wonder Woman movie is actually one of the few things the DC cinematic universe has gotten right so far.
Oh, have you heard about the plans that they're doing now?
Sorry, you continue, Lydia.
Start moving around.
I would say, like, what they're planning on doing now is that, like, they're going to make it less of the cinematic universe. They're not going to try to...
I heard about that.
What? Oh, sorry. Am I not being heard again?
Yeah, we heard you saying less cinematic universe because they're actually planning a Joker origin movie with Leonardo DiCaprio in the role. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I heard that. I'm like, what?
By the way, I just found out that there was a 2017 Wacky Races reboot. Just share the intro right now on the chat.
I'm strangely and morbidly curious.
Looks pretty faithful to the original series.
Ooh.
Yeah, that actually doesn't look that bad.
Yeah.
And
although it is like go ahead.
It looks like that they used a mix of Flash and Toon Boom together.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
I wouldn't have minded seeing this.
Well, maybe it's still on Boomerang. I don't know. We'll have to see.
Yeah, apparently, with what little information is available on Wikipedia, it was picked up for a second season. Oh, okay, that's why I never heard of it. It barely aired in August 22nd.
Okay, so it's still new. Okay, this should have some potential, and I do like the fact that, by looks of things, Dick Dastardly, who was originally voiced by Paul Winchell, is being succeeded by Jim Cummings. So,
nice. Oh, and it was released on Boomerang's video on demand service in America.
Huh, I might have to actually invest in that app on my phone. From what I've heard of it, it's only like maybe $5 a month.
Yeah, I never knew Boomerang did original content. Although I think maybe Boomerang also has that new Scooby-Doo series, the one that looks like Family Guy art style.
Oh no!
Yeah, From what I heard, the animation's a little hit or miss on that one, but I actually hear the dialogue's pretty clever in some episodes.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, but as for any other Wacky Races reboot, I could have sworn there was like some other one that was never picked up, but the only other reboot would be like that Mad Max style one from the recent comics.
Let's not. See, I'm only in favor of making something not necessarily dark, but something a little more plausible if it's actually called for. With something like Wacky Races, like Wynn just said it the best, it's supposed to be silly and fun. It's not meant to be, dark, brooding, grittiness. Like, there's
although I would say Mad Max is not exactly brooding and gritty. It's more like over the top and violent.
Well, in this case, Wacky Races isn't supposed to be Death Race.
No. Of course, they did have...
It's like, Hollywood, stop with the dark storylines already, or at least turn it down a notch.
I mean, I think the Avengers handled it best, whereby they didn't necessarily make it dark for the sake of dark, but it made it at a level where there are stakes involved. There is something worth fighting for, because there are actually good payoffs at the end of it. Whereas, as we say, with something that's turned dark for the sake of, it's like, you do know your movie's not a Batman movie, right? Like what they're doing with Riverdale at the moment. It's like, ugh. I don't understand.
Well, Riverdale isn't that bad.
No, but it was
it played
a reason why the Archie Sonnet got cancelled, which, as I've stated quite a few times on Ask the Night, Archies, this is going to come back and bite you. See if I'm wrong. I don't know.
Well, apparently that Sabrina the Teenage Witch show we've been talking about for weeks is going to be tied in with this new Riverdale show.
Yeah. See.
Oh, yeah, that's a thing.
This is one of those things where I'd like to give it a chance, but it's the whole premise of taking something that was quite fun and campy and turning it on its head to be where it's a complete 180 of what the original concept was. I mean, it'd be like taking Buffy the Vampire Slayer and turning it into a kid-friendly setting. It's like, no, that doesn't work. It's when it's being contrived, it's not gonna work so well. And because the Melissa Joan Hart interpretation is so iconic, I don't know.
I could see them going in the Buffy route where it's kind of like has some camp to it, but it's like it can't be taken seriously.
At least with Buffy, there was a balance where the humor actually took some of the tension away from it, because some of the best quips were either from Sarah Michelle Gellar or David Boreanaz, respectively. And I think even he had some of the best one-liners in his own series, which I think, in all honesty, Angel probably could have gone for 2 more seasons, because it did feel like it was building up to something more. Instead, the end of season 5 is just left with them fighting all of the monsters of Los Angeles, and then it just stops after that. I don't know.
Well, in the comics, the place got sucked to hell. LA got sucked to hell.
Yeah, where his girlfriend, who was a werewolf, because she sees one particular sun up in the sky where it's kind of a mixture of the sun and the moon, she doesn't turn into a werewolf, but she does act a little more feral and a little bit more reckless. I do remember aspects of that, but I know Buffy's still going on as a comic book series because they consider that what?
Yeah,
season
they're
8
on
or
season
9?
10.
Damn.
No, they're on 10.
Do you remember there was like that rejected pilot for a Buffy animated series?
I wish they had gone ahead with that. I love that pilot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've heard a lot about that. Why it didn't get picked up in the first place?
Mm-hmm.
It's because they couldn't find it because Fox Kids was being phased out and they couldn't find a network to put it on, and they wanted, and I heard Whedon wanted a primetime slot, and they wouldn't give it to him.
Yeah. That would have been very impossible to do if you're not The Simpsons, because back, I think it was during that era, like the 90s and early 2000s, everyone was trying to get a primetime era animated series, and from what I recall, most of them, like anyone who wasn't The Simpsons, wasn't all that successful.
Yeah. But now they got a freaking block now.
I know.
But it's all sitcom. It's all family sitcoms.
Yeah, well, the only good one that it's in the block right now is Bob's Burgers.
Yeah.
Everything else is like, it's the same thing I've seen before. Because there are series that, two of them are series that have been on for more than a decade.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like give us something fresh and new or something.
Oh, but that's a good idea.
Does remind me, anytime like Fox tries to add another animation to their animated block, it's usually like it eventually cancels or gets phased out after a single season. Let's see, the Cleveland Show lasted for a good 3 seasons. That was canceled. Alan Gregory was quickly canned. Let's see,
the Napoleon Dynamite series.
Oh, that was there and gone in a flash.
I know.
Let's see. What was another one?
I think it was Bordertown or something
Bordertown. Like that. Yeah, Bordertown. That awful looking show. Yeah.
I saw that. I'm like, what?
It's like, hey, check it out. It's the same jokes we've made out of the same Mexican stereotypes you've seen a billion times before.
Yeah.
Hooray.
Yay, racial stereotypes. Woo-hoo.
Not that I'm the kind of person who's usually offended at stereotypes. It's just that it's the same stereotypes that everyone else has already made fun of.
Oh.
It becomes boring fast.
Exactly. If you're going to make fun of Mexicans, be original about it.
And let's be real here. Most of these sitcom formulas are the same in every way, including having the dad being dumber than a bag of hair. Dude can't even tie his own shoes without his wife's help.
It's the dumb idiot father who's married to a beautiful wife, the hot wife who's way too good for this shit. They have the socially awkward son, the slightly less socially awkward daughter, the baby, and a non-human talking character.
Well, that's the Family Guy.
Well, yeah, it's basically it's the honeymooners. It's basically every single.
And it's a live action sitcom. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, Kaiju.
No problem at all. But yeah, it all kind of stemmed from the Honeymooners, which then became the Flintstones, which then became Simpsons, Family Guy, Cleveland Show, American Dad, and so on and so forth.
Have you heard about the original stuff that Seth MacFarlane introduced to the network before they stuck with Family Guy?
I have seen, what was that called? Larry and Steve?
Yeah, Larry and Steve.
Yeah, that was essentially the Family Guy pilot.
Yeah, but it was more of a focus on Prototype Peter and Prototype Brian. Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I would have preferred seeing that as a Cartoon Network short, which is what it originally was.
Yeah,
it was actually pretty funny.
Yeah, it's like the original character. Like, it focused on the dog, Steve, and he's a talking dog, but the only one who can hear him is the moron, Larry.